there's no data privacy, and that's a problem for resilience in local communities.
Jer, and then Claudia?
Yeah, I'll try to be quick with this. The New York Times published this story about 3 weeks ago that a researcher, capital R ambiguous researcher, had discovered the saddest location in New York City. It was a school called Hunter College, and Hunter College aggregated meetings. Lots of parents were interested in this. The students had large discussion around what was happening. A journalist finally went back to the researcher and asked him to dig back into the data, and it turned out it was completely false. Completely false. He'd made a mistake. He was using a very small data set. But the romanticism of big data allows us to publish a headline like that, which was only mildly destructive on a community, but could have been much more destructive on a community. And so we have to be very careful with bad science. And that study was like just a perfect example of really bad science, that somehow we love to talk about these things. We love to say a sentiment analysis study proved this thing, but we forget that this is about humans. And anytime you're bringing humans into the realm, we have to be careful, and we can't just fall to the allure of this technology.
It's interesting on that very point that, the very term data science, at some point we decided people were going to be scientists who were working with data, as opposed to other artists or fill in the blank. And the interesting thing about that is that I think in some senses it works in as much as it involves math that people can't do.
Yeah.
And it can be done by scientists, ergo scientists. But on the other hand, it also suggests that information that is quantified is true. That is to say, the data doesn't lie. Hey, the data doesn't lie.
I think this is one of the biggest dangers, and it relates exactly to your story and also a little bit to your point of using visualization to communicate insights, but to look at data to find them. Always really hesitant on the latter, because it's not that the data lies, it's just as a recording of something. It's just that your interpretation, what it means, doesn't correspond with what it actually was that you wrote down there. And I think the bigger topic that I find very hard to communicate is, most people feel that data is like a technical domain, but quality control in data is just awful. It's really, really hard. I don't know how good my model is, and I don't know if I spend another week on it whether I will be getting 1% or 10% better. I have no idea, and I'm presumably good at what I do. I think the big issue with data science is exactly that. You never know whether it is any good and how you keep it going. It has a very kind of subjective component and skill that needs to maintain to address exactly these kinds of problems then popping up.
It's so true. There's this lovely quote actually by Jeff Bowker, which is one of my all-time favorites, where he says that raw data is both an oxymoron and a bad idea, and that on the contrary, data should be cooked with care.